My family banned me from my own brother's wedding. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was finding out they had secretly put my name on a $42,000 contract and expected me to pay it. I wasn't even halfway up the marble steps when a security guard stepped in front of me like I didn't belong there, hand out, face blank, blocking the entrance to my own brother's wedding like I was some random gatecrasher. I paused for a second, confused, thinking maybe there had been a mix-up. But through the glass doors, I could clearly see Ethan laughing with his friends, holding a drink, completely relaxed like nothing in the world could touch him, like I didn't even exist. I told the guard I was family, showed him the invitation with my name printed in clean gold lettering, but he barely glanced at it before saying my name wasn't on the list, and just like that, everything felt off. I looked past him again, really looked this time, and saw my mom fixing someone's tie, my dad talking to the event coordinator, everyone moving around like it was the perfect day, and not a single one of them came out to get me. That's when my phone buzzed in my hand. And when I saw Dad on the screen, I already knew what was coming before I even answered. He didn't greet me, didn't ask where I was, just said flat out, "You need to leave," like it was nothing, like I hadn't just flown across the country to be there. I asked him what he meant, reminded him I had an invitation, and after a short pause, he said something that hit harder than anything else that day. That was a mistake. A mistake. Like I was nothing more than a printing error. He told me not to make a scene and just go, and then he hung up without another word, leaving me standing there outside a place I was supposed to belong, realizing nobody inside was coming to fix this. So I turned around and walked back down those steps, heels clicking louder than they should have, got into the car and left without looking back once. Because I knew if I did, I might actually break. I didn't cry on the ride back. Didn't cry in the elevator. Didn't cry when I got to my hotel room either. I just sat on the edge of the bed in silence, still dressed like I had somewhere to be, staring at the wall as everything slowly settled in. It wasn't just about the wedding. It never was. It was about realizing that this wasn't new. This was just the loudest version of something that had been happening my entire life. Growing up, there were always two versions of everything in our house. Ethan's version, where he was the center of attention, the golden child, the one who got everything handed to him without question. And then there was mine, where I learned early not to expect much because I was always an afterthought. He got a car when he turned 17. I got told to figure it out on my own. He made mistakes and it was brushed off as normal. I made one and it turned into a lecture about responsibility, and after a while I stopped trying to compete and just left. I built my own life from scratch, got into consulting, worked my way up, moved out, and created something that was actually mine. And for years the only time my family reached out was when they needed something from me. Never just to talk, never just to check in, always a favor, always a request. So when that wedding invitation showed up out of nowhere, part of me knew something wasn't right. But there was still a small part of me that thought maybe, just maybe, things had changed. Turns out I wasn't wrong about something being off. I just didn't realize how deep it went. 3 days later, I found out. I was back in my hotel room getting ready to leave when my mom called. And instead of asking how I was, or even acknowledging what had happened, she jumped straight into business mode and said, "We need to talk about the payment," like I already knew what she meant. I asked what payment, and she said the venue bill, like it was obvious, like I was the one responsible for it. And then she dropped the number, $42,000, and said they were expecting it soon. I actually laughed because it sounded so ridiculous. But she didn't laugh. She just said my name was on the contract, that I had signed as the guarantor. And for a second, everything went quiet because I knew for a fact I had never signed anything. I told her that straight up, but she insisted. And then my dad took over the call, accusing me of playing games and trying to get out of responsibility, asking me who else could have signed it if not me. And that's when everything clicked into place. Not emotionally, but logically, because I deal with contracts for a living, and I know signatures don't just magically appear. Someone has to put them there. And the only people who had both my information and a reason to use it were the ones on that call. So I said it out loud. I told them they forged it. And the silence that followed said more than any denial could have. He eventually brushed it off, called me ridiculous, tried to shift the conversation back to me owing the family, but I wasn't hearing any of it. anymore because something in me had changed right then. I wasn't hurt anymore, I was focused. I called the venue immediately, asked for a copy of the contract, explained that I had never signed anything. And even the woman on the phone went quiet when she realized how serious that was. I sent in a formal request, verified my identity, and waited. While I waited, the calls started coming in from relatives. People who hadn't spoken to me in years suddenly reaching out to tell me I was wrong, that I had promised to pay, that I was being selfish for backing out. And it was obvious my parents had already spread their version of the story, painting me as the one causing problems. I didn't argue with any of them, didn't try to explain. I just saved everything, every message, every voicemail, every email, because I knew I'd need it. When the contract finally arrived, I opened it expecting to feel something. Anger maybe, or shock, but instead I just felt calm because the signature on that page wasn't mine, not even close. It looked like someone had tried to copy it but didn't quite get it right. And to make things even worse for them, the timestamp showed it had been signed while I was in a completely different country. That was the moment I knew they had messed up badly. I sent everything to a lawyer friend, and within minutes she confirmed what I already knew. This wasn't just a small issue. This was serious, potentially criminal, and suddenly the situation shifted. I filed a formal dispute with the venue, provided proof, travel records, signature comparisons, everything they needed, and once their legal team saw it, they moved fast. The contract was voided almost immediately, and the responsibility went right back to the people who had actually signed it. That's when the tone of the calls from my family changed. The anger disappeared, replaced with panic, with requests to handle things privately, to not take it further, to think about the family, but by then it was too late for that. They had already shown me exactly where I stood, and I wasn't going to carry the cost of their decisions just to keep their image intact. In the end, they had to deal with the consequences themselves, taking out loans, cutting plans, facing the reality they tried to push onto me, and I walked away from it all with something I didn't have before, clarity. Because sometimes the hardest truth to accept is also the simplest one, that not everyone who calls themselves family actually treats you like it. And once you see that clearly, you stop trying to earn a place where you were never meant to belong in the first place.